and welcome to this edition of the AI Report. Now, the world of AI and the world with AI is still changing and changing even faster with newer developments, which are never failing to astound even the keenest of observers like those who would be on the show today. Now, while companies pour in billions and billions of dollars in tech breakthroughs and innovations, there's a real and direct repercussion on your life and your future. Now, on the AI Report every week, we bring you stories that are at the cross-section of, oh wow, how AI is changing the world, to, oh no, how is AI messing around with me and with you? But before we get to that, here's what changed in the world of AI this week. India will be hosting the India AI Impact Summit 2026 in Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi from February 19th to 20th next year. Now, this would be part of the broader vision for AI for Viksit Bharat. The event is a key initiative within the government's roadmap to use AI for accelerated economic growth and social progress. Key participants in this edition of the summit are likely to include not just Mukesh Ambani, but also Jensen Huang from Nvidia and even the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. India seems to be fast becoming a battleground for telecom companies and artificial intelligence firms. Reliance Industries, in collaboration with Google, has announced free access to Google AI Pro for millions of Geo users. The company has stated that eligible Geo users can soon receive a Google AI Pro subscription worth over 35,000 rupees absolutely free for 18 months and activated directly through the MyGeo app. Remember, in July, Airtel had offered all its customers annual subscription to Perplexity Pro valued at 17,000 rupees for no cost for the first 12 months. Earlier this week, OpenAI announced it would soon offer the ChatGPT Go subscription for free for 1 year to Indian users. It seems now that artificial intelligence subscriptions would soon be replacing the OTT subscriptions, and this seems to be the free Netflix subscription era for OTT with telecom plans. Nvidia is preparing to significantly increase its financial commitment to Poolside, an AI company specializing in AI models for software development. The new investment could reach up to $1 billion as part of the larger $2 billion USD funding round. This new capital injection is set to value Poolside at $12 billion. And there's more news from Nvidia. The company made history this week as the first company ever to reach a valuation of $5 trillion. And this was powered by a rally that has cemented its place at the center of the globe for artificial intelligence. The Wall Street milestone underscores the company's swift transformation from a niche graphic chip designer into the backbone of the global AI industry, turning CEO Jensen Huang into a Silicon Valley icon and making its advanced chips a flashpoint in the tech rivalry between US and China. This notwithstanding the fact that rare earth trade between China and US is now likely to open, but is the Nvidia chips export control from the US to China also going to be on the table for trade negotiations? That's something that we will have to wait and watch out for. Now, it may be the sound of the death knell for Wikipedia, some are calling it. Or, well, maybe not. But as Elon Musk himself puts it, it is an unbiased, truthful source of knowledge on the internet. Yes, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO has officially launched what he calls Grokipedia, a new AI-generated encyclopedia designed to rival and perhaps throw out of gear Wikipedia. Now, what makes it interesting is that the platform is powered by Musk's own AI chatbot Grok, which fact-checks the content itself. Now, what really is Grokipedia? Simply put, it is Musk's latest tech experiment, an AI-driven encyclopedia that aims to provide factual, verified information in a more automated and truth-focused way. The billionaire announced its launch on X, writing that Grokipedia.com version 0.1 is now live. He further added that while this is an early version, version 1.0 will be 10 times better. But even at 0.1, it's better as per Elon Musk himself than Wikipedia. Now, while the goal is to challenge Wikipedia's dominance, early users have noticed that some Grokipedia articles include a note stating that the content is adapted from Wikipedia itself, licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 4.0 license. Now, this means parts of Grokipedia's own database are still built upon Wikipedia's open source data collection. Now, early days, one may say, but is Grokipedia really all that different from Wikipedia? And more importantly, how do you as a user use Grokipedia? Well, to begin with, it doesn't require a login. Users can visit grokipedia.com and directly search for topics. For example, for ChatGPT, Gemini, or Grok itself, you've got to sign in every time, and then you've got to put in those queries, or what is called in the world of AI prompts. Now, instead, Grokipedia works like a search engine. So you just put the topic rather than phrasing it like a question. For example, if you were to put in, tell me about Taj Mahal, but that is on a traditional AI bot. In Grokipedia, you can just put Taj Mahal and get some information which is better as per Elon Musk than Wikipedia, and get your results. Now, both Grokipedia and Wikipedia serve as online encyclopedias. Their functioning is fundamentally different because Wikipedia relies on human editors and volunteers, but Grokipedia relies on AI, which fact checks whatever is there on the internet. So a lot going on. We really don't know whether this is the game changer and the next level of Grok, which is going to disrupt the internet as we know it. But I think anything that Elon Musk does draws the attention of everybody. So let's put attention on that particular subject today and take it forward with our two experts who are joining us on the show this morning. We've got Manish Maheshwari. We've also got Siddharth Pai, both experts in this field of technology, and they are here to talk us through about how this is going to change the game, if at all it will. So let me first begin with Manish Maheshwari. Manish, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on the AI Report. First up, have you tried your hands at this Grokipedia? And if you have, any significant advantages that you see?
Indeed, I have tried. One thing I did notice is that it's limited in terms of entries. So many things are not there yet, but it's only a matter of time. Second is, it seems far cleaner interface. Like if you look at Wikipedia, it's somewhat cluttered compared to this. The third thing I did notice was, of course, the ideological leaning is something I did notice because I checked the Elon Musk entry on Grokipedia, and that was probably everyone should go and check that. So it does talk about all the factual things about it, but it does provides justification for many of the things that he has done. And if you contrast that with his Wikipedia entry, you will see that difference in ideology, right? So it clearly has a different ideological tilt. So those three things jump out to me as I used it.
All right. Siddharth, let me take the conversation forward with you. So transparency, unbiased responses is something which has always been a big question mark looming over AI-driven search engines as well as chatbots. So do you think in terms of an unbiased response, a transparent sort of source from which that response can be attributed, and of course avoiding hallucinations, which has become a big problem with AI, do you think Grokipedia solves for that?
I think Grokipedia attempts to solve for that, but I think it's almost all AI for that matter, when it's pushed into a corner, does end up hallucinating. Because AI, more than a source of truth, it just tries to predict what the next word will end up being, or what the next token can end up actually looking that way. Now, Grokipedia also, for that matter, I think when Musk came out with XAI as well, he said that XAI is going to be unbiased truth filter. It'll be the community notes for the entire internet. And very early on, people actually caught it out saying that how XAI would end up, and Grok for that matter, would end up actually painting Elon Musk in a very favorable light. And there were some of these hard-coded logics into the entire interface itself. Now, Grokipedia just came out a couple of days back. People are still going through it, and these biases are fairly known. I think what Musk excels at as of now is to end up creating alternatives to the mainstream. No one believed Wikipedia could be taken down. But with Grokipedia as of now, I think Wikipedia is actually looking on very shaky ground as well. So the future will depend on how Musk ends up actually executing. He's a master marketer for that matter. He knows how to get the crowd's attention on that. And given the fact that you can't end up making changes to Grokipedia as of now, it's only suggestions. No one knows how these suggestions will end up actually getting taken. A large amount of this is yet to be proven. But I think what's important as of now is Wikipedia ended up getting a certain ideological slant over time, and even one of the founders of Wikipedia, Larry Sanger, has been very vocal about it. I think Grokipedia is a way to end up balancing it. So for anyone looking for a source of truth, you have the left, you have the right, you figure out your own middle path within. I think that's the greatest takeaway from this.
Right. So truth may or may not be sacred, but the version of truth that you want to go with could pretty much define whether you call it accurate or not. But let me take this back to you, Manish Maheshwari. And of course, you've been associated with a platform which is now owned by Elon Musk himself. And what we've seen with Grok specifically is that it does fact check, and it does a fairly decent job at fact checking. So if the same logic, if the same programming goes behind Grokipedia, I think the one problem which AI deals with right now is fact checking. If that is dealt with Grokipedia, then a lot that people worry with using AI is pretty much a thing of the past, isn't it?
See, when you say fact checking, right, we have to define what do we really mean, right? Yeah. So where is the source of truth? Like when it is something which is based on verifiable data, then you can do a fact checking, right? The problem occurs in these platforms when it is about opinion, right? When you have to pass an opinion on some activity or someone's act, that's where the leanings come into play, right? I mean, and I think that was the biggest gripe that Elon had, was that over time, platforms had become very left-leaning, and he's coming and trying to make it more right-leaning, right? And that orientation you see in terms of the commentary and narrative, right? So we have to then think through, okay, how exactly would the fact-checking happen? And, where is the source of truth? Who's the arbiter of truth here? Who will decide what is correct and what is the right way to, say something is true or not? If it's a scientific fact, that's an easy answer. But most of the things that we disagree on are not scientific facts. And that's where the problem occurs, right? So right. It's a problem easy to articulate, but very difficult to solve.
All right. And eventually, does it or does it not, Siddharth, boil down to how you're going to monetize whatever investments you're making in technology? Because at one point, sure, you want to compete, you want to stay relevant, you don't want to miss the bus on AI, but at least in the long term, not even the medium term, the idea would be to monetize all the investments that you have put in. Do you see a monetization runway, a path to profitability for any of the AI bigwigs?
Yeah, I think it actually is. Almost everyone's pouring in this amount of cash into AI with the hope that they can eventually monetize. But it does actually remind me of when the dot-com bubble was also brewing. Everyone thought that if I lay the largest amount of fiber across the world, for that matter, I'll actually end up ruling the internet. What people fail to realize at that point in time, it's applications built upon the fundamental infrastructure that can end up actually generating income, not the fundamental infrastructure itself. So for all the companies pouring money into LLMs, which is a jack of all trades and the master of some, I think the AI race will eventually be won by people who end up creating AI-specific tools for specific domains. So you have these little vertical slices of AI that a professional can end up actually using to accelerate their own career, or that a generalist can end up actually using to end up learning about it itself. So a large amount of AI right now has been seen as this panacea cure for everything that's actually there. But it's similar to the rise of the internet. It's another tool. Depends on how people end up actually using that tool itself. And the biggest problem in AI as of now is the negative gross margins for everyone. It costs ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude, everyone far more to end up actually responding to a prompt than they end up actually charging customers. So the pricing is something that no one understands as of now. So fundamental economics seem to have gone out the window. People are just enthusiastic about building as much as possible, and then they'll figure out these monetization use cases later. And if you look at Grokipedia as well, Grokipedia seems to be a fantastic marketing tool to show how good Grok can actually be. I don't think it's going to be a profit center for them, but it's a great way to end up actually getting people used to how Grok works. And hopefully they end up actually converting to subscribing on Grok itself. I think that's how Elon would end up actually playing this out.
Got it. So again, I want to stay on the subject of profitability for just a minute longer. Manish, Wikipedia is a not-for-profit. OpenAI was registered as a not-for-profit. So at some point, is this internet 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and now AI really moving away, if one could call it, from this altruistic nature of just being there for serving the cause of technology and serving the cause of greater humanity towards a more profitable outlet?
See, I don't agree with that. In fact, the only outlier here is Wikipedia, which was set up like that, and Jimmy Wales, who set it up, did it that way, and then it depends on donations. But everything else has moved to a profit-making nature. In fact, OpenAI just announced their restructuring to become a for-profit entity.
Exactly. So that's the question. That is it moving from its core objective of serving humanity, serving technology, to serving investors?
Well, if you are taking money in, you are raising capital, the capital would require return at some point. So my view would be that if you do not have a model to return money back, you will not get the money, and therefore your progress will stall. And everyone knows that, right? I mean, the question here becomes, how do you provide a return to people who have invested in you while staying compliant and ethical, right? So what would importantly happen is ethical AI and responsible AI, and those things will become big buzzwords, right? And companies would be forced to self-regulate or comply with them. But just saying that I'll be a non-profit and I will keep burning money and I have no revenue model, I think unless you have a donor who is willing to give you money for a long time and doesn't expect anything in return, it will be very hard for you to pull that off. Because without money, you can't hire great people, you can't pay salaries. So I don't see a path there. So companies which are at the cutting edge and companies that require a lot of investment will have to restructure themselves as profit entity, which is right. What OpenAI has done. I think in my mind, OpenAI has just done that. They will in fact go for IPO very quickly as well, my view would be, because they are pretty much doing quite well in terms of having the lead right now.
Right. Siddharth, final word to you. OpenAI has just announced ChatGPT Go is going to be free for Indians for a period of 1 year. A sort of divergence you're seeing, pursuing profits at one point, but burning cash in making it free.
That's in my mind just a marketing. Like it's like capture the market. Yeah.
It's a great way for them to say, ChatGPT has about 300 to 400 million users. Gemini, I think, has about 40 to 50 million users. If they can go from 300 to 400 million to, let's say, 600 to 700 billion, or even a billion for that matter, it's great for them in terms of eyeballs. But the thing is, how many of those users are actually paying? Not as many. And every free user costs a company a large amount of cash because of the amount of compute and the amount of cost it takes to end up actually responding to a prompt. And I think even this battle of profitability, businesses have to be profitable. I don't think there's any negotiation about that. That being said, the internet's been built on free and open source technology. Even in AI itself, with Llama 3 and others, people are actually trying to build out these kind of models so people can end up actually building their own version of ChatGPT, building their own LLMs for that matter. So I don't think the internet is going to fundamentally change in terms of its nature. There are a large number of very dedicated people who want to end up actually making the internet free and open source for all intents and purposes. And even larger companies have to play well with the wider internet and end up actually open sourcing a lot of what they end up doing. So I think that will continue. But at one point in time, investors are going to realize that for the amount of money they poured in, how much are they going to end up getting out? So when that comes to a head, that's going to be a very interesting thing. And that's why people say there may be a boom, there may be a bust that can end up actually happening. There will be a reckoning. I think it's going to be bloody for almost everyone who's actually involved. But the companies who come out of that and who survive that, they're actually going to be the leaders of this entire space. So right now, there's an explosion of companies. We're going to see a large amount of creative destruction happen fairly soon also, for that matter. And then after that, we'll actually realize the true potential of AI and how its applications can end up actually making a lot more business sense, not only technology sense.
All right, let's leave it at that. Thank you so much, Manish and Siddharth, for your inputs on this developing story and for giving time to News9 and being here with us on AI Report. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Well, with that, we will slip into a short break. You heard Siddharth saying that it is going to be a boom or a bust, but one thing is for sure, it's going to be a bloody battle. But something else which is drawing blood is Amazon drawing blood of employees, literally mass sackings, as many as 30,000 jobs to be lost just this year. You're still tuned in to AI Report, and something big was announced this week. That's right. The news is that Amazon is planning major job cuts yet again among its corporate workers this time, as soon as perhaps the end of this week for the first round of layoffs, followed by multiple other tranches. This has been reported by multiple news outlets. Now, the online retail giant plans to lay off, hold your hearts, as much as or as many as 30,000 employees over time this year, with as many as 14,000 to 16,000 job cuts taking place with immediate effect. And this cost-cutting measure is being led by the chief executive, Andy Jassy himself. Now, this will be Amazon's biggest job cuts since 2022, when the company let go of more than 25,000. Some reports indicate as many as 27,000 workers, but that happened over several months. Amazon's total workforce, which has more than 1.5 million employees across its warehouse and offices worldwide, is partly under threat. Now, last year, we saw more than 150,000 jobs cut across 549 companies, according to independent layoff trackers. Now, so far this year, more than 22,000 workers have been victims of reductions across the tech industry, with a staggering 16,000 cuts taking place just in the month of February alone. And India itself has not been immune. In fact, as many as about 12,000 layoffs were reported by TCS, all in the wake of making their workforce and their company future ready. So we are living in an AI-driven corporate economy. Now, the big question really is, how safe is your job, and what should you do to try and ward off this impact of AI really eating into your employment? Two very special guests joining us for this discussion. We have Mr. Prabir Jha, an HR veteran and the chief executive of and the founder of Prabir Jha Associates. We also have Mr. Rahul Agarwala from Sense AI, somebody who understands the world of AI much better than us. But Mr. Jha, let me begin first by asking you, the effect of AI is real and it's quite bloody. Where do you see this sort of ending, if at all there is a horizon or a timeline for that?
Well, Kartik, always a pleasure to be on your show. And yes, things continue to be bloody. We've talked about it in one of our earlier conversations. See, at one level, you have to see it in the larger context. 10% directional cuts is bad, but 90% of it is still there, right? So that's one. Second is, if you read between the lines, a lot of the recent layoffs is actually proving to be true with reference to some of our earlier conversations I might share with you, that it is going to be not just pair of hands down the value chain, but actually increasingly more middle to senior level leaders who will face this prospect. Because a lot of work which is just supervisory and control and more a span-breaking role is definitely going to go away. So the specter of AI implications will cut across levels. And to me, that is a very qualitative shift. If you read very closely, a lot of the jobs that are going to go away are not just about those who are not necessarily adding to efficiency of current thinking and doing, but also possibly, and that's my guess, are going to be running the scalpel on more expensive jobs. So what I see, at least in the near term, is that the job class and also the job type is going to be a very important ingredient of any downsizing strategy of companies. And we can talk more about that. The reference to India, just to kind of lead you into that, it's more a wait and watch still for me. I don't know which way the cookie will crumble, because again, the reality is, while we do not like to talk about it, there is still the cost arbitrage edge that we have in India. And I just hope we continue to be prudent and not, get more cocky about that, we have all the talent in India, which may or may not necessarily be true. And if there were ripples which actually become more serious with so-called outsourced jobs or GCCs in India, then I think, the implications could be severe, because that is in many ways, both for the government, the country, and individuals, a very big ray of hope. Early days, I don't want to kind of, call out gloom and doom yet, but yes, we have to wait and watch.
Right, no gloom and doom that you're calling out as yet, but I'm not sure those who are facing the axe at Amazon or even TCS for that matter would completely agree with you. But again, to take your point on mid-career professionals as well as senior professionals really being at the receiving end of this AI disruption, Rahul, I want to understand from you, is there a survival kit? Is there something which can be deployed by these mid to senior level employees, not just in tech companies, but across the board, to really ward off this threat of job losses?
Thank you, Kartik, for having me here. That's a great question. So I think the first thing, as Mr. Jha partly said, I largely agree with him, which is that it's a qualitative shift. That white-collar jobs so a lot of the busy work goes away. So even if you take a senior role or a mid-level role, there is a lot of busy work, and a lot of that will just get simply automated using AI. And that's what it should be. I mean, if you go ask a mid-level or a senior resource what he doesn't like doing, it's all that busy work. But if you as a mid-level or a senior executive is adding enough value from a decisioning, planning, thought process perspective, the AI can't imagine the future. AI is very good at, let's say you want to get research done, AI can scan all the data and give you great summaries. But if you want to ask it what's the future going to be, AI is not going to help you understand that. And as managers, we need to manage for the future, not just to manage the problems today. And that's how managers need to start thinking. If you're a mid-level career executive, you need to think about what the future of your industry, what your business is going to be, and drive towards that.
Yeah.
And of course, use resisting technology has never worked, right? It's historically proven fact that standing in the way of technology doesn't work. So adopting it and making it your friend is the first order of business for any executive. So it's not just about adopting it yourself, but helping your enterprise adopt it, your company adopt it.
Right.
You're seen as part of that movement because that's all about the future. So
absolutely
link your boat to the future, not be tethered to the past. That's my sincere advice to mid-level and senior executives.
Right, but I want to take that boat analogy forward with Mr. Prabir Jha. Mr. Jha, now what Rahul is mentioning is that there is going to be strategic thought process which AI cannot replace, but typically the strategic thought process evolves in boardrooms. But for you to get a seat in those boardrooms or in the CXO corner offices, you've got to go through the grind of being a mid-career professional. Now, if those are the very jobs which are under attack, how does a start of career junior level employee really develop that strategic thinking? Because if everything from writing long notes to making presentations to crunching data is being done by a bot, then how do you as an employee get exposure to that kind of work before you're put in a position to take those calls?
I think that is why Rahul's comments are so apt, right? At the end of the day, the nature of the grind is going to change. Mm-hmm. And we're living in denial. So even closer home in India, when a big tech firm were to let go of many, many middle and senior level people, suddenly the question to ask is, who was not reading the writing on the wall? Of course, the company, because it continued to kind of take these guys along, 10 years, 20 years with it. And why did they not kind of read the writing on the wall? So that does not absolve the company or its leadership. But at another level, I always have told you that, ultimately careers will remain the individual liability and responsibility of the individual, right? At the end of the day, you have got to decide what that grind is. Now, if you continue to kind of, sharpen your saw in an era of NPC warfare, then you're obviously doing the wrong thing, because that sharpening of the saw is irrelevant, because the saw doesn't matter. So the grind will change. And therefore, the point that as I was listening to Rahul, and I completely agree with him, is that, if you are freed of a lot of drudgery, what would you prepare yourself with and for? Mm-hmm. And, I will be very honest, and I advise and coach and meet a lot of executives, both in the tech world and beyond. And they are ignorant about the world. I mean, a simple expression, VUCA, I was doing this exercise with 200 leaders recently. Only about 10% knew what VUCA was, and Bani, no one had even heard of it. And these are well-known IT companies. And I'm just saying, how many of you read business papers or follow channels like yours, as an example, right?
Right.
No curiosity. So they have all been frogs in the well. And in a body shopping world, it worked because your only job was to execute, not think. And I'm oversimplifying, and my apologies for that. But today we want to see everything from a multidisciplinary, multi-geography, multi-technology leverage perspective. And I will be very honest, I am very, very petrified of middle and, for that matter, senior level leaders of being great role models or mentors for this, because many have got to levels of incompetence by doing a very different thing. They have not been exposed. And this is not just in technology, by the way. I see this across sectors. And the fact that organization architecture is absolutely overweight, it is absolutely bereft of a sense of meritocracy. Mediocrity always in India trumped meritocracy.
Right.
Whole long years of association and tenure have actually, trumped candor and honesty and fresh thinking. So, to me, again, from the playbook advice perspective, it is for people to smell the coffee and say, guys, I need to look at my grind differently, because the grind is no longer going to be the grind that maybe 20 years of past experience was.
Right. So Rahul, how do we sort of get that critical thinking? How do we get them to look at the grind differently? And how do we get them to really appreciate the fact that knowledge and experience would not be irreplaceable? So I want to actually call out, do these certificates that people, with some humility and sometimes not with as much humility, showcase on their LinkedIn feeds, are these certificates, digital courses, really getting certified in some part of AI, or doing some of these part-time courses to understand artificial intelligence or any other sort of management or leadership skill? Are these actually doing the job, or do you think there is actually need for some serious effort being made by organizations, being made by individuals themselves, to understand the game from a macro and a micro view, rather than just trying to acquire a particular skill which can be showed off on LinkedIn?
I couldn't agree with you more, Kartik. So I think, by the way, YouTube is a much better teacher than most. You can get learning for free on YouTube, which most very highly paid courses won't give you. But even more importantly, look at the freshers you hired, those 20-year-olds who've just come out of college and who are digital natives and today AI natives, and ask them to do the job and see how they produce. Go ask them to write a report on a complex topic and see the quality he produces. Of course, your knowledge will still supersede the report he produces, but what he'll produce will not be 10 years behind you. That 20 years of experience you have over him is not helping you. It gives you a short advantage. Right. And once you understand, and if you don't learn from them, and that's the best way to get yourself updated. Right?
But Rahul, if I can just butt in here for just 1 second. So, do you think managers also have wrong expectations from subordinates? Because if you want everything done as of yesterday, then the subordinate is at some point going to use AI and is going to present something to you on which at best maybe you can add a few edits, you can value add, you can get something corrected, which overall gives you more efficiency. And hence going forward, that subordinate is shown the door, and there you go and buy a subscription to an AI tool and just get an intern to perhaps, put in those queries.
Yes, that risk, while it may sound very real, the point really is, ultimately, you need to build the next generation of leadership also. So AI is not going to be that, right? So you need to develop these guys. So you will work with those smart youngsters. My point is actually asking them to get it done really fast, and then seeing how they use AI to crunch the time. Something that would have taken your colleague of 5 years junior to you. So while junior, so he'll do what you're saying, but he's going to do it based on original thought and sit and write. While this young kid, because he doesn't have the baggage of your knowledge, and I'm calling it baggage purposely, and B, he is conversant with the latest tools. So he's going to do it, really speaking, if you wanted it done yesterday, he'll get it done yesterday. And that should open your eyes, that's the speed at which business can move. And unless we adopt, see, everything that's going to come out is not, the report is just a first step in a longer journey, right? And think about that longer journey and spending more time doing other stuff than that report that you needed to prepare to start the discussion at, let's say, a board meeting or whatever internal meeting that you had.
Right.
Why we, a lot of time is spent just making sure that we get to decisions and get everybody to agree to those decisions. You'll find a ton of work going around them. Rather than figuring out what are the best strategies, we are just creating material to, make people understand what we are trying to do. Right? All that should become much easier. So, if you make the right steps, that is the value you add as a human being, as somebody, and you understand people. You understand how your team will respond to a move you make, how the market will respond, customers. You have the relationships. These will remain human. Right?
All right.
And you have to focus on that. So it's a question of what your focus is. If you think your job's not going to change, that's the problem, right? You're saying, hey, I used to do it this way, so I should continue. It worked. And the way you did it got you to the place you are today. So there's an inherent bias people have that what helped them succeed, they continue to do that with the belief that that'll work. But it won't.
Right.
And unless you change that assumption, none of the other good stuff is going to happen.
I agree with you. So I don't know if I can simplify it really, Mr. Jha. Not sure if you're going to agree with me, but listening to the two of you, I think it seems that with the advent of Chat GPT, with the advent of so many AI tools now available literally at the click of a button, even your Google search now gives you a summary which is AI generated. So you don't even need to take the pain of clicking through those links. So going forward, in the advent of AI literally penetrating the job force and the workplace, do you think the only two, I'm really simplifying it, so sort of excuse my ignorance there, but if I were to really simplify it, do you think the only two tools that people need are common sense and context? With the right tools, you will be able to pretty much do everything which years of experience and years of learning is now done by AI.
So at a very simplistic level and with the same riders, I will say yes, right? But what Rahul explained, I can confirm to you that, many things where I would have possibly put 5 management trainees to work on, I do it on my smartphone today. So the research, history, 100 years history of something I was trying to trace, I got it with 2 minutes. 100
exactly.
So the question is...
So you have the context of what you want to search for. And of course, when you're looking at the result, common sense tells you whether it's done a good job or not.
So Kartik, these 5 guys who would otherwise have felt very busy some years ago don't have a job because that's what my phone is able to do for me in a way. So what really is needed? One, in my view, something which was seen to be very soft will become absolutely the differentiator for careers, which is creativity, innovation, actual relationship handling, the empathy, all of that which we thought was soft skills, they are going to be hard. Right. Technology, there will always be a group of people who will be so niche and they'll be in that vertical of the T going deeper and deeper, who will generate all these tools for you.
Right.
But let us look at it, technology, and I'm not an engineer, but I believe I am a far better consumer of technology than engineers. Right. And I don't need to know technology. I should be comfortable. And I think Rahul used that word. You have to embrace, we have to be adopters of technology. And if someone like me can do it without knowing anything of the background, it is fine. Because in my work, I have to see if this is done to me in a second. What are those 4 big decisions I need to take which will impact the future? That is where you should apply your thought. And that is where great leaders should mentor the younger generation. The question I have is, people who actually have at some levels, they may accept it or not, but do live with this imposter syndrome because a whole generation has got to levels, and who knows, maybe it's me included, to levels of authority, influence and power, position, may actually not be the right people to be able to mentor the new guys. So it's a very big mindset change. The worry I have is, are we changing fast enough and are we changing to scale? Because in my advisory work, in my coaching experience, while there is an intellectual acceptance, the willingness to do differently is very, very slow. And I don't think technology is going to wait for that. So you have an option: be smart and know which way the wind is blowing, reinvent yourself, repurpose your role. You do not have to build your future career on the basis of what you've done so far. But if you're not imaginative, you're not creative, you're not great with so-called the softer skills of life, I honestly think the tech world is going to be a very contrarian experience for you.
All right, gentlemen, I'm sure we can carry on and on. There are so many interesting facets on this whole conundrum that employees are faced with right now. But unfortunately, that's all we have time for. But thank you so much for your time, Rahul, as well as Mr. Praveen Shah. Pleasure having you both here with us on this never-ending discussion, which I'm sure we will keep coming back to here on the AI Report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kartik.
Thank you. And with that, we will slip into another short break. And after the break, well, you might have heard of digital twins, but have you heard of digital offsprings? Well, there's a country which has a minister, which is an artificial intelligence minister who is incidentally made of AI itself. And that minister is now having offsprings, as many as 83 of them. And now I'm joined by my friend and colleague Amit Ranjan, who has discovered a fairly fantastic story which has come all the way from Albania. Now, Albania, a European country, has got an AI ministry, and that ministry, of course, has an AI minister. But guess what? That AI minister is an AI bot, and now that AI minister is having offsprings. Let me get into the details of that fairly complex story. So, Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama has announced that DIELLA, the country's AI-generated Minister of State for Artificial Intelligence, is pregnant with 83 digital assistants, one for each Socialist Party member of the parliament. Now, speaking at the Global Dialogue in Berlin, Rama had said that, and I quote him here, "We took quite a risk today with DIELLA here, and we did very well." So, for the first time, DIELLA is pregnant with 83 children. I just want to remind you, DIELLA is not a real person. DIELLA is an AI chat bot or an AI bot. Now, he also explained, the Prime Minister, that the role of the assistants is that each one will serve as an assistant for them who will participate in parliamentarian sessions and will keep a record of everything that happens and will suggest to members of parliament. Now, these children, 83 of them, will have the knowledge of their mother, DIELLA, whose name actually means son in Albanian. And this DIELLA was appointed in September to oversee Albania's public procurement system with the goal of making it fully transparent and corruption-free. Prime Minister Rama also said that he expects the system to be fully operational by the end of 2026. And that is where these 83 children from the pregnant DIELLA will finally take birth. Amit, fascinating account of what is happening in the world. Now, just help me understand this. You have a minister, but that minister is not a real person, is unlikely to debate in parliament, is unlikely to even stand in elections. And here you have this minister who's now pregnant with 83 children, and each child will have a certain task. How's this ever going to work? Just unfold this for us.
No, you say the minister is not going to debate in parliament. Maybe in the times to come it may. It's information and technology. So it will be sourcing. A bot is the best person to have all the information about everything that is happening in this tech-driven.
Oh my God, that is scary. So how do you beat that bot? Because
Nobody
it's going to be impossible.
So
there's going to be a lot more information that the bot has than any human being in that parliament.
That's the idea, that nobody can beat it.
Oh,
probably.
wow. Okay.
I'm just gesticulating over here. Probably
Okay.
that's an idea. And they are calling them children, probably because the amount of information that the mother has is exactly the same amount of children that information that each of these children have. And every new information that is being sourced and fed into the mother
Is available to all 83
all
of them.
So it is totally democratic. So all the children know everything that the mother does.
No generation loss
No
from one
generation
generation of AI to the next
to the
generation
other.
of AI.
Yeah, and the interesting part over here is each child for one minister, one real life minister. So a minister takes a break from a session, goes out, comes back after 15 minutes. His child, the child that has been allotted to him,
Yeah.
will dictate back to him what has happened in the 15 minutes. Not just that, the child will tell the person which of the ministers was aggressive and against whom you have to take an aggressive
so
tone.
it's not
and
just
against
factual,
yeah.
it's even opinionated.
And against whom you have to take a passive tone. Now here is where the manipulation begins.
So there's also diplomacy lessons which these children, and I call them children with a great deal of caution here, these children are going to teach their parent ministers,
suggest to
their parent ministers how to diplomatically handle people. The bot is going to tell the minister, a real minister, a living minister, how to handle other real living people.
Yeah, so it is telling the minister how to handle these people based on what happened. So it'll tell the minister that this person took a very aggressive tone against you in your absence. So against him, please, you can take an aggressive
So
tone.
tell me something. I don't know. I'm also just gesticulating here and just trying to, imagine scenarios play out. Now, you go into a conference room and you have a fight with somebody, and after maybe, a few minutes, a few hours, maybe a few days, you can go out and tell that guy, hey, let's go down for a cup of coffee and water under the bridge. Let's move on. Now, if you've messed up with an AI bot, you can't even take the AI bot for a cup of coffee. How do you deal with the impression that the AI bot has already developed about you?
That's one of the talking points, points of contention, because it is being programmed by somebody. If not programmed, it's being fed with a certain kind of information.
And then it's learning on the job every day.
And you are not allowed to tamper with it.
Yeah.
At least the minister is not.
But somebody's got to have the button, the programming keys, the kill switch if the need ever arises.
Why are they calling them 83 children with a mother called DIELLA? Why couldn't they just be 83 children with a Ministry of Information?
Yeah, or just 83 different bots.
Yeah, so somebody probably DIELLA has some control on each of these children.
But who has control on DIELLA?
DIELLA. So probably that is where the power structure or the power
has it gone too far, this
family
entire sort of creativity around AI bots and now really placing artificial intelligence bots to really take these critical, diplomatic, politically sensitive and perhaps being part of meetings and forming opinion about something which is going to impact life of public, because it's a position of not just authority but a lot of responsibility. Can you trust AI bots with responsibility?
I have this part of my mind which sources itself from all the espionage and crime series and the novels we read.
Okay.
And probably they're calling it DIELLA, they're putting a family tree around it to hide something that is more sinister.
Okay, and what could they be hiding? What have they got in their artificial closets?
I am controlling every minister in my cabinet.
Are you controlling the minister or are you just reporting to the minister?
You do not know, but the person who is controlling DIELLA, probably what he is not telling, or he or she is not telling everybody, they have the control, or in the most sinister AI language, kill switch.
Okay, so let's take the sinister theory a little forward. What if DIELLA loses it? DIELLA goes on a rampage. Hey, now my learning and my experience as a bot tells me that I've got to fix something in society. And I really don't need to care about any approvals from even the top office in the country. If DIELLA loses it, is the country going to lose it?
No, then there'll be all sorts of reverse psychologies going on. So if the minister who's controlling DIELLA knows that DIELLA is onto this rampage,
can that minister get influenced by DIELLA? Because DIELLA has potentially been in more meetings than the real minister.
Yeah, but if he or she knows that DIELLA is influencing me more than I want her to, it could go in the reverse psychology mode and tell every minister, don't listen to your one of those 83 children that has been allotted to you. And so it'll be a reverse psychology that everything that is being suggested by DIELLA is not being followed.
Right. So at the end of the day, I think if you
it's a hodgepodge sort of.
It's
scenario.
hodgepodge, but my visualization is making me believe that DIELLA is actually like the living manifestation of an AI bot. But technically, it's just a program which is running on a computer, right? If I shut down my computer, I've shut down DIELLA and her 83 offsprings.
To start with, it's keeping notes, it's giving suggestions, and it's taking minutes to the last comma and the last full stop that probably the humans could miss out on.
Okay.
So that is it, with the information that it's impossible for a human to have.
Right, and
for
more
starters,
sensitive, and the more sensitive meetings where I perhaps don't want DIELLA or her children to record minutes off. It's something personal, it's something diplomatic. as any other responsible minister in the country, I can decide to keep one of those offsprings off that meeting, right?
You can. But the positive here, the biggest positive that I see is it could cut down corruption by a huge margin.
I don't know, would it? What if you design a meeting and you invite people and you keep DIELLA and her offsprings and train that bot to believe in a conversation that hey, you guys are doing the right thing?
We just discussed that we don't have the authority or the tools to train it. It's being fed with another source of information.
I can play act in that meeting.
Yeah, if you're that good at it, then and on the broader level, on the surface level, it does cut down corruption. Maybe the really smart ones still will find a way to get around it, but it does cut down corruption. Everything that a minister does, the bot knows, and it will be reporting back.
Oh my God. Well, ministers in Albania do have something potentially to worry about, but how worrisome is it going to be for the citizens of Albania? I think that is something that only time will tell. So, Amit, should we just leave it at that on this edition of AI Report?
Lots covered this time.
Lots covered and a lot more next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Kartik, Malhotra and Amit Ranjan signing off from this edition of the AI Report. Thank you so much for watching, but do stay tuned to News9.